we having any fun?
A total blast. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for being patient with us.
Everything's all crazy.
Deep breaths.
Yay.
Couple deep breaths. Are we ready to go? Are we ready to go over there?
I'm ready to type. Ready? Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing a woman with a red dress on the screen.
It's the
The monitor isn't working, but the rest of it is?
It's not. The Polynese is not on TV, but it's being.
It's not on TV yet. Okay, that's fine. So, good evening. This is the meeting of the Affordable Housing Board of Tuesday, May 30th, 2017, and it's a little full. Is that correct? Yes. And you guys are welcome to give us any input on the subject of affordable housing or anything that you've just you're dying to say in public. You're welcome to say here. And the floor is yours if you'd like to say something. Okay, good, cool.
Don't feel obligated.
Yeah, but I wanted you to know that we always make that available to the public. And with that said, the first item on our agenda tonight, as it always is local law number 4 of 2015, which is the Affordable Housing Board law, and an opportunity for discussion, if there is any, about our the law that established this board. Comments, questions, concerns, discussion from anybody? Okay. With that said, we do have an agenda in front of us, and I'd like us to adopt that if we could. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as prepared?
If I want to do a new business thing, I don't need to say that.
You don't need to
now.
say it because it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Questions or additions, subtractions to the agenda from anybody? Is there a motion that we accept the agenda?
Yes.
Is there Did you like them?
They were lovely.
Yes?
Uh-huh.
I think they were lovely too. Any comments or changes, additions, corrections from anybody? Hearing none, is there a motion that we approve the minutes from the 25th of April?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I wasn't here.
All in favor? Aye. Kathy's an abstention, and the minutes have been approved. And next comment is marketing. The next item on the agenda is marketing and outreach plan, and we have a draft of a flyer that Dan did. Really kind of kicked that off before. So thank you for your efforts to pull this together. Are there comments, additions, corrections?
I just have one small one. The first sentence here, to promote the public welfare of the community, but we're extending outside of our community.
Maybe Dan can say where this language comes from.
This language comes directly from the village website for our page, the Affordable Housing Law page.
So is this
That
from the
was where that
law
was
or is
taken
this from
from.
our page?
that was from the page.
Okay.
But
But it might have
fully-
been taken straight from the law as well.
And
It
it
could be
really,
both.
that was the source, but.
And I can verify, since this is a formal like quote on here, I will verify that.
I believe,
And it's sort of
Yeah.
right above each other.
and I think that to promote the public welfare of the community was language in the law. I believe that was language that was included in the preamble to the law.
something else just because it's
But to me, it still sounds as if we're within our community when we're not.
It's for the benefit of the community. It doesn't mean that the housing
As the
is
entity
just
is.
for the New Paltz community.
just for the New Paltz Street?
I said, so we can refine that language. Are there other suggestions, revisions? We have an editor at the table.
I just thought we needed an "and" after "has" here.
And affordable, yeah, okay.
Um,
Sorry to interrupt. That was a lot of redaction on my end. So if that's like
The language is a little bit different, but I think that that's correct, though. It's
yeah,
substantially
I-
correct.
Yeah,
okay, maybe we should all just eyeball it side by side with the law.
Something like that.
Okay.
yeah.
I guess the question I have about this responsibilities of the board thing, I wonder if that is as instructive to potential applicants as a definition.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I like that idea. I have that on my draft FAQ outline as well.
Yeah. You like that idea?
yeah, definitely.
What? So maybe we want to revision that.
Yeah.
And I had right above the now accepting.
You know, the definition of affordable housing and also who the applicant, you know, potential applicants could be.
Right, so people know if they should bother applying. Just, it doesn't have to be our super narrow parameters, but it is sort of straightforward.
Helpful feedback, Tim?
So define the eligibility parameters.
Like a
In
who
there.
is eligible
Yeah.
box,
Right.
proximate to the now accepting applicants.
I know they gave information here on how to contact, you know, Facebook, blah, 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 but when it says now accepting applicants,
Yeah, I
Would
know
be
you're kind of
helpful to
directed
say
immediately to Facebook.
where to, or how to find out where to get the application?
Sure, it's not a bad idea to even include maybe the web address to the village
It
clerk
is
site.
here.
Oh, yeah, I see
Yeah.
it down below.
Well, I
Okay,
mean,
great. That's fine.
That's
You
all
could
ours.
put
I mean,
applications here or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
More info and applications here.
And what for the people that do not have a computer?
You could probably squish up that find us on Facebook if
Not
you
everyone
need
has a
more.
computer.
Yeah, that's just formatting. Yeah. So applications.
Available from village clerk.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see that. And the other thing that I would kind of appreciate putting on this would be the Federal Fair Housing logo.
That's the house with the equals.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, this doesn't look like it's high res, the village logo.
That was pulled off of the website, so I mean, I'll have to reach
Yeah, I
out.
figure you just put it as a placeholder and we could get a
Yeah,
high
I'll
res.
have to
from-
reach out to Alex.
Right.
Yes. Right, would that be the best way?
I have a folder of those.
But Kathy made a good point
Right.
that I hadn't thought of. In the eligibility portion we're gonna put on, you were saying wider than New Paltz. Some people might think, oh, if I'm a village resident, and you several times made the point, but it's wider.
So are you
Like,
recommending
under
we
the
add
eligibility.
language,
That's anybody who meets, you know,
anyone who
financial-
desires?
Right, or anyone who desires.
Anyone who is eligible and desires to live in New Paltz or
Right.
something like that?
Something like that.
Exactly.
Anyone that's financially eligible is
Yeah.
encouraged.
The eligibility is financial.
apply.
It is not a function of being a resident of New Paltz or Ulster County or the town of New Paltz or even a citizen of the
America.
United States.
America.
Correct. America. I hope this was constructive feedback. Helpful?
A lot of
A
it.
lot of work for Dan.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
That'll teach it.
That'll keep it a volunteer.
Any other comments about marketing and outreach?
We did get 6 new likes on the Facebook page, I think it was. in
Yeah.
the
Do
past
you know how
week.
many we're up to now?
It's like 65, 66 or something.
That's
That
pretty
was in the
good.
past week, so
Yeah.
I don't know what triggered that, but I could try and look into it.
How are we planning on distributing this?
I think once we have it, we'll figure that out.
Because I have something to add on to it.
Okay.
It's important how we're distributing it. The back could have the application. Or
Well,
a good amount of
Application is small.
information on it.
maybe.
Why waste the back of a page?
Okay. What do you think?
Isn't it pages? Isn't
Yes,
it multiple
it can
pages?
be
But I mean,
multiple.
it should be like just more information on how to, get with the application, et cetera, and explaining you do not have to be a resident. I don't know.
Can I have a different approach, and that is that let's print it in Spanish on the back?
Aha.
Ooh.
Right, that was part of the agenda, but we never put the back into use, so that is a good idea, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just more valuable, and that way and it could even identify that it's Spanish on one side and English on the other on both sides.
Okay.
In fact, Jennifer's
No one's
email
concerned.
was that she would be
Right.
willing to translate it.
Right. So we already sort of have that accounted
What do you
for.
think about putting the, Spanish on the back up here at top right?
Yeah, we should
Or
say
catches
that
the
on
eye.
top and
Yeah.
English on reverse on the other side. Okay.
So I did my outline for frequently asked questions that we were gonna put on the website. Does that fall under
We
marketing
can
and
actually
outreach?
talk about that today. Sure.
You want me to do that now?
Why not?
Okay. So these are the questions. So basically, we said we were gonna make a FAQ, which is frequently asked questions, and just, a laundry list of possible questions. So this is my first draft. What is affordable housing? How much affordable housing is there in New Paltz? What is the affordable housing law? How did it come about? What is the Affordable Housing Board? What do they do? Who is on it? Who qualifies, or I guess that's eligible is the language you were using. Who is eligible to apply? How can I apply? How can I help? Where can I get more info? Does that cover all the bases?
That sounds kind of comprehensive to me. And
Can you be
we're gonna
kind of comprehensive?
I think so. And I think
It's
that as
very
long as
unique.
we refer them, well, they're finding this on the website, right? So it implies that they are capable of finding some of this information already on the web, right?
Yeah, but these things tend to be like, so you can get a quick hit
Sure.
and answer your question
Sure.
quickly, so you don't have to look far. And then also we talked about maybe taking this outline and using it as a framework for the video that we're gonna make.
Well, in that case, it's sort of comprehensive.
Kinda, sorta?
I thought it sounded good.
Okay, all right, so then, if anybody thinks of other bullet points, questions, I'll start trying to answer them.
Okay, and maybe
I
what we
mean,
can
most of
do.
them are typically, it's like 2-3 sentences max.
I think it would be a good idea for us to maybe circulate that for individual work and bring all of those comments and additions back to the next meeting of the board, understanding that you will not be on the board by then.
Not this board.
Okay, you'll be on a board, but not this one. Okay. Is that work that you will continue to undertake for us as a volunteer?
We haven't had our reorg yet, so I don't know if I'll be the formal liaison, but obviously it's an area of interest for me, so.
Okay, but we'll protest anybody else who tries to.
What is the
Talk to the
date?
mayor. What?
When is the actual official
Thursday.
date?
Go to the village.
Really?
meeting.
June
Like 2 days
1st.
from now? Ah, June 1st.
So trustee-elect Tobin here is discussing what her role might be with our board in the future. Okay, and with all of that done, I understand we're moving on to social media, and you mentioned that we have 6 new likes and that our Current likes are how many?
I think it's 66 maybe.
66 likes? Cool. And that's kind of a good thing. We've only started that a month ago
Mhm.
or so that's great.
We could push it a little bit more on the village and on our, those of us that have individual elected sites as well.
Absolutely. Especially as we're starting to see projects go into construction, that will also help us because it'll generate some interest. With all that said, any other comments about marketing, outreach, or Facebook and social media? Comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? Okay, moving on. Spanish translation, Jen is going to continue to do that for us, and she's not here tonight. The next two items on the agenda have to do with the net zero place project at 91 and 93 North Chestnut, and also the Ridge Victorian Square project at 56 South Manheim. And I want to report to the board that two members of this board, myself and John, met with George Sifry to describe our law, to explain how it works with the marketing efforts of George Sifry as the developer and contractor and management agent for that property. There was clearly some confusion about it. I tried to address that in some of the documents that I circulated to the board. I wonder if you have that in front of you, if there are any other questions about that.
I do not have that in front of me. Can I
Sure.
share with you?
I think I got this one.
That was the one that we brought that day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That
I
morning.
thought it was something.
You were there.
I was
Okay,
there.
but these are like general stats.
Correct.
Right.
But where the rubber hits the road is really back here.
Right.
Okay, this is the new chart for eligibility, income eligibility for Ulster County. We need this chart, which I shared with our secretary, to be incorporated on our application form and letter. Now, this is an updated
You
chart.
got that? You know what he's talking about? Like how many people you have in the house
You sent that
and
to us?
the income
I did.
eligibility.
Did you get
Yeah, I had a
that?
chance. Yeah.
Questions,
Yeah, no,
comments,
it's a great
thoughts?
summary. Yeah, it's great for.
So what was
Exactly.
George confused about?
Well, what we discovered was that he had some confusion that seemed to come from his interactions with both the village planner and the building inspector about the rent that would be charged under his approval. There was also some questions about which units could be eligible or not. We raised those questions, we talked about them. His approval is from the planning board, not from us. And I made that clear, and if he wishes to revisit that with them, we would support that and assist him in any way we could. But the real gray area for him came about the extent to which rent could be charged for an affordable unit. He had just wrong numbers, and we corrected that. He also now understands the relationship of rent with the utility charges that are also considered part of rent, and so we discussed that as well. Even though this wasn't really printed properly, one of these quadrants here is the actual utility charges.
So they have with and without.
Right. So basically, based upon the type of fuel he's using, the type of heat, and so forth, you can back into what the rent can be from a developer or manager of affordable units.
Now, you may not know this, and it's really not that important, but would a property owner benefit a tax break for giving lower rent? I think that maybe
The answer is
something
no.
we could present, yeah.
Not in this case, for a couple of reasons. The benefit that's provided to him as a developer was the possibility of a density bonus,
Right, so that
which he
would-
did not take advantage of. He did also, and we asked him to review his records to make sure that he received the benefit of a reduction in the parkland deposits fee that he would pay for the building permit and so forth for those 2 units. But otherwise, there's no further tax break that he's eligible for from the village or the school district or the county or the town.
You know, it's interesting how the very first project that goes through knows so very little. So there's where we're faulted, where we need to somehow get this information out.
I had encouraged that a developer come and meet with us and speak with us in advance, and just that didn't happen.
Do they get a handout?
I was
They-
just
they
thinking
can
that too. The fact questions that I went through, none of them, it was more, they're more directed to the general public and people who would be eligible, not so much planning board applicants. So maybe we need, things like what projects are now required to have affordable housing units, how is rent computed?
I think there were well-meaning efforts on the part of the building department staff and the planner and even the planning board to try to interpret this law for him. But there really is no substitute from coming to us for a couple of reasons. Reason one is when he started this approval process, the income guidelines were different, and he wouldn't have known that except by coming to us. And because he was the first applicant.
Well, that's something that they're also going to have to learn to update for themselves annually. Income changes.
Of course.
Yeah. So I think, as Casey said, maybe we should have a list of things that they should be aware of that would be their responsibility, that could benefit them. Also,
I think that's a great idea. And again, this first sheet that I put together to explain it to him was the start. I think it was a productive conversation.
Yes,
Would you
in
characterize
fact-
it that way?
Guy, I mean, of course, I'm the new person, so I'm the observer, but Guy did an incredible job, I thought, of explaining all this, but what I did go away with was that we, at some point, I think, should get together with somebody from the planning board and the building inspector's department, because they didn't have the understanding, and it caused some confusion. So I think we all need to get together to make sure we're all on the same page before we have a new applicant.
Well, and I would agree with that. I did share this document and the summary that I provided to George to both the planner
Yes, you
and
did.
to the building inspector that day to make sure that everybody had the same set of sort of facts here. But, and again, I just think that it was an interpretation. They were trying to interpret something that they really didn't understand.
Right.
but thank you for doing that.
Well, I wish that we had done it sooner. So any other comments or questions from the board about that?
I think conversations are good, but I think one document that maybe we couldn't fit it on one page, but handout for applicants. Obviously, everything's going to need to be customized to their particular project, but as to the best of our ability,
Sure.
the general parameters of figuring out everything from, how many units, maybe trying to explain the density thing. How do you
Yeah.
compute rent? How do you factor in utilities?
Could we have a link on our website?
I think that
I don't even know what
For
all the
landlords.
components would be, but I think it would be
Yeah, I
helpful.
think that this information for developers of affordable housing is useful, and we can consider, if it's the board's desire, we could put that on our webpage, I'm pretty sure, and make that available as a resource. But keep in mind that every time we disseminate this information, we're fighting the clock, because every year it comes out, and I'm always nervous that people are gonna, we went to the website and it said this.
So
Well,
you
that's
put it right
true.
on there.
Yeah,
I
well,
I don't want to be
for them
dense,
to
but
check.
to me, this didn't stand alone and answer the question that I just asked.
The question you just asked was what?
How do you compute the rents for the affordable housing units that are in your
Yeah, so
project?
let me see if I can answer that. So what we told him, and what continues to be the case, is that no more than 6% of our immediate income is the maximum that they can earn. And what we provided here was sort of a range of income bands. So we understand that the maximum would be 60%. We established a 50% band as well here, so
But
that
that's for eligibility, not for figuring out what their
one,
rent should be.
and then we told them that 1/3 of that, according to our law, is the maximum for their rent. And that's how we backed into what that range of rents could be.
Okay, so we should delineate that here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right below that, or,
Yeah,
you know,
it,
we
it,
could probably.
it can require some narrative explanation in addition, but I'm just explaining that. That's how this is designed.
And even though it changes every year, we can give them the link to the government website.
Yeah,
that
we're
will
not
give them the
unique in
changes.
that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and so we basically gave him every piece of the puzzle for him as an operator of housing that is being used as affordable housing for this program, that he can calculate rents based on the income of any applicant.
So if somebody is getting into an apartment and they have 4 people in their house and they have X income, they might
Let's
pay a
just assume
different.
that their income won't be exactly
Okay,
39,000,
yeah, no,
right?
just in theory,
Yeah,
a 4-people household, the developer will figure out their rent based on that
Correct.
math. But if those people then move out and somebody else moves in, that rent could change because 2 people
correct, but
could
it will
move
still
in.
be affordable
Right.
to someone.
It's just interesting
1/3
that
of their income.
A unit can change the
Up
rent.
to a maximum of 60%.
Right,
And we will be certifying those folks as income eligible going forward.
right.
So that's the way it works. Questions? Does that make sense? Is that consistent with what you expected?
Maybe. No,
plain
it was
what it
great.
is.
It was
Okay.
great. Yeah.
So that's the plan.
It's such
It-
a learning experience. Every meeting, we find out where we need to expand.
If we do this right, every meeting we find out what we don't know.
Yes.
So with that said, would it be helpful, do you think, to provide this as context for developers on our webpage? That's a real question to the board.
Could I see that, please?
I don't know. I feel like what they really want to know is everything from here down. This might be of interest to everybody. This is general stats, but in terms of applicants, this is where the rubber meets
Yeah.
the road.
Well, what I tried to do was put it into a larger context for the developer so we understood why we were doing this. That was kind of the point. But I appreciate that that's not on point to what, once a
You're just
developer
making
has
people fish for
constructed.
the answer to their questions.
And
Well, what I mean,
I get it.
Yeah, I hear that.
combination-
I don't
What about
know
in
if I'm
combination
doing
with
that, but-
KT's document? That would be kind of Q&A,
Yeah, they're
Cover
all
page.
yeah they'll all be.
and then it could get into the nitty gritty towards the
Uh-huh,
end,
uh-huh.
right?
I'm fine, and by the way, you have that digitally, if you wanted to use any
Right.
part of that.
Okay.
I never looked at like part of this stuff.
Would it not be easier just to make a sub-forum for the developers?
Pardon me?
Wouldn't it be easier to make a sub-forum for the developers so you don't have them to go fishing? And it's easier for them to gather that information without going to the board?
I didn't hear the last
I'm
part.
not
Easier for them
exactly
to
certain.
what?
We're not trying to make them go fishing for it. We were now interpreting what they had agreed to do for somebody that's got a project already under construction. So it's a little different, that was a little different point in the process. I think what we'd like to do is we'd like to make it much more, to use that term, user-friendly for developers so they understand what they're getting into and so that the planning board and the building department understands what it is that we're expecting of them. And, how we disseminate that information to them is important. And we want to try to make it as available as possible.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, does that help?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for help. This is a help wanted. Anybody want to help with this?
Help with what?
With this form and with this, how best to think about what this form answers, what this page, one page
It's
or
not
sort of
really a
answers.
form. They're not filling anything
Yeah,
out.
it's not a
but,
form. It's a
It's an
document.
info
The problem is
sheet.
I don't have a computer. Yeah, so it's hard for me to create, cut and paste.
understand. Are you're not getting anything that we send you on?
Yeah, I have my iPad, but I can't
Yeah.
do the work on an iPad.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of different things at the
Yeah, I
same
mean,
time,
once I get
and
this
there's
done, I can
overlap,
definitely help
so.
you out.
Yeah, can you help with this too?
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
I can help, yeah.
That'd be
I wanna
great.
focus on this first.
Yeah,
things.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is maybe like in the triage of things, this is maybe the next project we ought to take
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, okay. Ideally, we could create this in such a way so that it can be easily updated.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so with all of that said, I don't have a motion in front of us for anything concerning those, so I'm gonna just end that conversation today. And we can move on.
Did
Um,
nothing on zero net? Net zero, I mean?
I've heard nothing more on net zero, no more communications on that. I think that's just still in process.
Yeah,
Okay. And do we have any applications? No applications tonight, so it will be unnecessary to go into an executive session.
so if we had applications, we would go into what's called executive session, which is out of the public eye. There's rules about what you can do out of the public eye, and since there's privacy issues with people's personal financial data, which is basically we just check and make sure that people who apply are indeed eligible based on the information that they give, but we don't have any tonight, so we don't need to do that.
So with that said, I included on the agenda that there is arguably an affordable housing board vacancy caused by the departure of Newlands Village trustee, but we are going to be,
The board already acted on all of
the
this.
board acted on this?
Yeah,
Did they actually
this is
appoint
already
you?
done.
Yeah, okay.
Cross me out.
So John will be taking that seat. He's been the alternate, and now he will be a member of the board. Welcome, John. And is there any old business to talk about tonight? Is there any new business to talk about tonight?
I had an item. I was gonna suggest we have a conversation about asking the town to do two things. One, ask the town to pass a similar law townwide, which would help with my second ask, but is not required for my second ask. It would just make my second ask easier, which is to create a committee like ours to be a town and village joint committee for affordable housing. So I think a path to that, maybe not from their perspective, would be easier if they pass a law, you know, which would be nice. And I haven't had any conversations with any of them, so I don't know the viability of that.
Well, I actually have, and I've heard that there's some interest in doing that. But I haven't heard anything more recently about that. I worry about trying to undertake that right now, given the fact that November is kind of coming up and the contests for the election to town board and supervisor and so forth are already heating up. But if they wanted to pick it up and
I don't
work
think
with,
we should
I
let
mean, we'd be-
elections get in the way of doing good work.
I think we should always acknowledge that people don't only have so much capacity and bandwidth to do stuff. But in any case, whatever you think. Do you want us to? What do you want us to do? Do you want us to send them a letter?
I'd like to hear from everybody that they think it's a good idea first.
Well, was it last meeting or the meeting before we discussed this very issue and said, should we ask the town if it should be the same committee? I mean, if we've got two committees, isn't that like too much? in
Yeah, I
duplication?
mean,
So
a
I
lot
like
of
your
our
idea.
committees, like Bike Ped is joint, what else is joint, Tim? We
Yeah,
have
joint.
multiple examples of joint committees, so it's not like
Dick,
transportation implementation, so
we just
emergency preparedness.
make it a joint committee, just
Yes.
open it up to beyond the village residents, keep this committee as is, and fold it into the town law. Don't even create a new committee.
Right, I mean, we all are town
Just
residents
expand
anyway.
the membership
Right.
possibilities, and then put in a provision that said you need some sort of mix of town outside the village and village. But to start with, you can have all village, because everyone's a town resident.
Right.
So, it's specified in our law how many members there are to this board, so it would be a code change.
What could be a change to expand it, in other words?
The composition of the membership would change. I wouldn't add members, keep it as a 5%.
Okay.
And another thing is, as the meeting we attended, Mr. Seifert was saying, the land that's left in the village to build is almost gone. Future building probably will be in the town if somebody chooses.
We've got some infill to do.
Well,
but-
it's true.
So just for
Some.
clarity, we would do that without a code change or not?
We would have to change our code. as
Right.
well.
Right.
Well, since we're thinking about a code change, I think that there's obviously utility to the code in the town and the code in the village matching in order, just for ease of administration of both in the town and the village, and it makes sense for it to be a shared board, and so maybe we would want to contemplate revisions to the code as might be desirable as part of that process.
Right. Always when you're going in, you want to
Yeah.
make sure.
Yeah, so it's worth looking at it, thinking about what we'd want to do, if there are opportunities to improve it. And I don't have any feel for how the town will respond to whether they feel that they want to have their own representatives, meaning their own appointees on the board.
You are those people.
We're appointed by the village, though.
Yep.
We'd have to be appointed by the town, and
You could just set it up that in the future you have to
Sure.
have some sort of mix. you know.
Sure. Could absolutely be
How
done
do
that way.
appointments to the joint boards go now? The village people get appointed by the village board and town by town board?
These are not deal breakers, they're just things to consider and
I
that we have
think
to.
the current town board would be very supportive
Right.
of adopting this law and using our existing committee.
Question.
I think it would be helpful to maybe expand the numbers by 2.
Why? Where are you
More
getting
people
more
to-
volunteers
For
from? We have
well-
a hard enough time populating the boards and commissions we have.
Theoretically, we would have another 7,000 residents of the town to call from here,
Theoretically.
theoretically
I'm just thinking
speaking.
in terms of capacity and the amount of work that individual people could do. The more people you have, the more work you get done. I mean, you're absolutely right, we do have trouble, but Guy is also correct that we expand the pool, we double the pool.
So these are open questions, they'll have to be made
Yeah.
by people
I don't
at
have
another
strong-
level of authority in the
Mhm.
communities. But it does seem to me that that's something worth thinking about, whether there's something that would be attractive to the rest of the community in the town if we did
That's
that.
not a deal breaker for me, I'm just a proponent and trying to keep it simple.
I hear that.
Yeah,
That-
and then
that
how
could
do
be-
we already have a full board, how do we add without subtracting? If we added the town to the equation now?
Well.
You're gonna add them, but
subsequent
roll them in
membership-
over the
subsequent
years, right?
member, Like the next.
Yeah, the next
Right.
time the term.
Right, so there would be a delay.
Yeah,
The next alternates, which you need replacement of, have to be.
Right.
But that can all be sorted.
So those are questions that would have to, as you said, another level of authority.
Terms
That
aren't
would,
very long either, right?
pardon?
You know, how long are the terms on this board?
I don't
Three.
know.
I think it's
No.
3 years.
It's 2 or
So
3.
it seems to me that the town and the village could take this up at a joint meeting and discuss it, right? Don't need our help, per se.
Well, I think it would be helpful if you made recommendations for the boards to consider as opposed to the boards crafting it from scratch.
Okay.
Roadmaps are useful.
Yeah, on one board, because then it's not them versus us, doesn't turn into that. I like it, just keeping it simple.
No argument for me. I think it's great.
I have an unrelated question.
Theoretically, there could be some significant number of projects that would come under our review and significant numbers of applications that might result from adding this responsibility. That's not a deal breaker. It could make it a much more robust effort, which should probably be good for both communities.
And maybe that's the reason why you consider 7 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go beyond 7.
21.
7 sounds like a reasonable number. That's the number
Times
that's on the
three.
town planning board. Questions? Other
My
thoughts?
question was, if the Toll Brothers were to make a development, construct a development in the town of New Paltz, there could not be any affordability.
There, if this was the law of the town code, there would be affordability.
Mhm.
They would have to do that.
Could they change their, the footprint on the house, or change the, you know?
It's
is there
number
gonna
of
be a-
units.
Hmm?
It's number of units, not size of units.
I think those are nuanced questions that the town would have to get into.
Mhm.
We sort of had a pretty straightforward approach here.
Yeah,
Um,
we have apartments, yeah.
That's kind of where the rubber hits the road in a lot of places,
Mhm.
you know? So we'd have to see what their impulses would be. But keep in mind that a revision to the code in the town to include this would be subject to comment
Is it
by,
subject to seeker?
huh? Oh yeah, seeker's not the problem, but they would be subject to comment from the planning board and from the
Mhm.
county planning board, just like this was.
Okay.
Other thoughts? Additions?
So how do we want to proceed? Do we want to craft language right now? Or,
You'd like, I heard from the mayor, I think he would like us to send a letter
The roadmap, yeah.
with a roadmap of kind of, you know, and again, a roadmap for adoption of such a law in the town. That'll come from the town attorney, but giving them a sense of kind of what it is we're doing and why we think it's a good idea.
A letter not to exceed 1 page.
Okay.
always.
It should probably include a link to the law. Okay.
And you may identify things within our law, because we'll have to make a code change where our law might have some edges you want to, round out anyways, just
Sure.
because we're in there doing the work.
Okay.
Yeah, and who knows, while they go through the process, hopefully go through the process of figuring out what it's gonna look like for the town, they may give us feedback that's good, or, you
But
know.
hopefully not, because it's a good law,
Okay, good.
right?
It's
been-
beautiful.
It's been vetted for
True.
decades.
True. I think that the issue that Kathy brought up about the types of development that occur in the town versus occur in the village might, I mean, I would be like, just keep it the way it is.
Just put maybe consider a square foot calculation as an overlay in addition to units.
Just a question, because I don't know the answer to it.
Is mine gonna come with a pool? You know,
Is, do the town and the village have alignment on, like, parkland deposits and the rec fee? Between both,
Our rec fee is definitely greater.
you have a higher rec fee in the village than they do in the town.
Yeah.
So that could be a concern, because our law actually speaks to that. It provides a little bit of relief for, you were not aware of that, but
I'm
it,
not familiar with that.
yeah, it does. It provides a little bit of relief for fees, and I can't exactly recall what it says now, but yeah, it does. We specifically put that in it as an incentive to try to incentivize the creation of affordable units. That's the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that I say, okay, that might be an issue. Not a huge issue, but an issue. So we
It
would,
just be an adjustment.
Well, if our rec
based on
fee is
percentage.
already higher, it's gonna be less of an impact in the town if it's just based on, if the town has a lower
Well,
one
we have to see
already.
how that incentive is calculated. Is it a percent reduction?
I have to go back and reread it. I just recall that it's in there.
I'm not a fan of giving away rec fees.
Sorry. We were looking for considerations that were really low cost to the community in exchange for the creation of the affordable units. And because we were giving a density bonus theoretically speaking, the underlying unit's demand for rec was already being met.
I'm just sensitive to the fact that both the town and the village have a despicable record when
Yeah.
it comes to collecting rec fees.
Yeah.
So we're playing catch up.
I hear that. I hear that. And know it's true. Yeah, rec fees that you set that you don't collect are as good as rec fees you don't bother to set. Got it. In any case, so these are the sorts of issues that will come up as we begin to go through that process. Not opposed to it, just going into it and saying, let's look at that. So maybe it would be a helpful thing for us to look at the law and think about where those issues come up and pitch it to the town and let's see what they say. But you'd rather that come from us than from you guys. Okay, done.
Because
So
know
do you
the law.
wanna-
You know the law, you know how it works. I definitely think you looking at it through your lens may or may not work with the town.
Okay. That you wanna draft that. It's one page. We know that.
Okay,
and
fine.
God, you know.
I think it makes a lot of sense too, because it's, she only has like 18 hours left, like 30 hours left.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking about doing in those 18 hours, but I feel that this ought to be a priority.
Do your children still live at home?
Thank you, KT.
You're welcome.
And with that said,
It was my idea.
It was.
Yeah.
It's a fine idea.
Thank you. It's a great law.
Is there any other new business to discuss tonight? Hearing none. The proposed next date of our meeting, as published already on the calendar, is June 27th, 2017 at 6:30. And unless there's any comment about that, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Right here.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Katie?
And I want to thank
Trying to get
KT
one last in.
for her
Yes.
service on this board.
Yes.
Thank you.
My
Boom.
pleasure.
Count it out.
It was short.
I'll
And
be back.
since she's the one that recruited the two new members.
That's right. I'm big on that.
That's
You
great.
have to fill the
That was
seat
really
that you
helpful.
leave.
Thank you. So with all of that said, we're done.